Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh and in this video we shall discuss the feature news for today, 7th of March 2022. Our feature news today is on Global Plastic Treaty. We will understand the nuances of this treaty, what has the impact of plastic pollution yielded into, and what has been the way forward provided with the help of this treaty. Welcome Niranjan, welcome, hi, Hima, Amlan, Bhavani, Netra, Ashish, Kanupriya, Kim, Kanupriya, you weren't there in the last one, and so was Kriti not there. Hi Tiasha, good evening. Vivek, all of you. All right. Regarding this discussion on gold and diamond, I think I'll have to search a little more about this. Gold has always been considered as a matter of, as a substance of phenomenal value. And diamond, I wonder, it has not been given that value. I don't know what is the reason for this. Diamond is also processed in the industries, that's true, but naturally diamond is also found. There are qualities of diamond found everywhere, and the better quality diamonds, the size of the diamond, its clarity, the way it is cut and processed in the industries, they are the ones which refine the diamond and then further yield better prices for diamonds. But the escalation in the prices of diamond is not as much as what is in the case of gold. Right, gold has always been treated in the modern times as an important valuable article entity, also treated as a reserve currency, right? Something that could be anytime made liquid asset, and this was not the case with the diamond, right? So this is what I know. Kriti says, I think gold has a historical advantage. Yes, of course, because right now the places where diamond is found, they would not be those places possibly where gold is found, not all the places. And the countries which have got the value of, or the reserves of gold, why would they want to replace it with diamond, right? And they say that diamonds can be manufactured in labs too now, this is what they say. All right. Hi Pooja, let's welcome all of you here. Yeah, and Ashish, he will also go via Taiwan to invade Russia, of course. I'm doing all research and experiments here. Thank you. Good that we think out of the box. This is great. Appreciable. So Global Plastic Treaty, before we get into this treaty, which was lately negotiated, still being negotiated in Nairobi, with the place where we have the World United Nations Environment Program located, Nairobi, we will understand a brief background of the plastic pollution around the world. What is it about? It says the United Nations website, UNEP website itself clearly mentions, it starts by saying our planet is choking on plastic, and it's not just production but consumption and disposition, each of them are responsible. The production has increased with time, its consumption has increased with time, and it's the way we dispose also has deteriorated with time, right? So while we used to produce only small quantities of plastic during the 1950s, it started during those times. 1990s and 2000s saw more plastic creation. In fact, the amount of plastic created in 2000s, it was so much that it was more than the plastic created all before this particular time. And presently, the amount of plastics that we have, the total weight of this plastic is equal to all the human population on earth. And you should imagine, half of this plastic that is produced, half of this plastic is single-use plastic. Around 40 to 48% of all the plastic produced is only that single-use plastic which we use once and then discard it. There could be innumerable examples of the single-use plastic, and the first example of it, surprisingly, are the cigarette butts. Cigarette butts also do have some plastic filters, very small filters, and contrary to what is the popular belief that you would find some microplastics and beads and plastic bottles, no, these are the ones that get processed. There is a value for this because it gets processed. But what about these cigarette butts? The filters contain small plastic particles and they are extensively found in water bodies. Not me, United Nations. Straight away United Nations speaking this. So imagine not only this kind of plastic, right, cigarette butts, but also single-use plastic of other kinds. For example, the single-use plastic bags, we have plastic bottles, we have plastic packaging, we have the plastic sippers, all of them, food wrappers, bottles, all of them. This is what constitutes single-use plastic along with packaging plastic. Packaging. And the world itself says, United Nations itself says that 80% of all this plastic, any plastic that has been produced till now, 80% of it lies unprocessed. Only 20% is processed, which is either incinerated or it is recycled. Only 20%, and rest 80% it is lying in marine areas or land areas or landfills, and it is only being leached, causing more of harm to the environment. Not only leached, there are various other processes, we will discuss that. And only 20% of it is being treated through incineration and through its recycling. Now, there are important ways in which we should understand that energy is utilized and energy is disseminated. See, when plastic is created, what energy is used? Usually conventional energy is used. It leads to greenhouse or global warming gases getting produced. Not only that, whenever we incinerate plastic or we decompose or process the waste plastic or heat them without the presence of air, this also leads to the formation of gases which are not very conducive. It is also an energy intensive process, and this causes a lot of wastage, right? So plastic in totality has been a value, has been an item of value. However, its indiscriminate use has led to plastic pollution, right? To the order that it has started to choke the planet, right? And do I have that image? Yes. Have a look at this turtle getting choked. Humans surviving only on the waste management. So let us understand this article a little in depth. Production of plastic has increased, as I mentioned. In fact, an important data that you must also look at is, till now we have been able to produce around 9 billion tons of plastic. 9 billion tons, just some data. And out of that, 7 billion tons has been put in the landfills or just disposed of as a garbage. 7 billion tons out of 9, right? So almost 80% of it is not processed. And by 2015, we will have 4 times this plastic present on Earth. We will have around 34 billion tons present, and look at the processing capacity. It is not as good as what we think. In fact, India's pollution authorities, Central Pollution Control Board, they say that India processes 60% of plastic waste. But then I really doubt this, but then we will go by this statistics only, 60% of processing. The point being, what about the rest of the 40? Should we not recycle all of it plus all of it? Yes. And not only that, we must recycle this or incinerate this, we also should upcycle this. Usually what happens is when we recycle, now this is a very important keyword that I just mentioned, upcycle it. If we downcycle it, then the utility of that plastic will only deteriorate with time. Earlier it was a plastic bucket, and later it will be used as a bad quality bucket, or after that it will be used only as an entity in which the waste item could be kept. It must be upcycled, or at least retention of the same quality should be there. This is not something that we are doing, right? So plastic is not only ubiquitous, it is present everywhere, right? Not only that, but this is also an indicator of the Anthropocene era, United Nations, right? Part of the Earth's fossil records and marker of Anthropocene era. Not only the general plastics that we see, but microplastics. The level of plastic encroachment in our ecosystem is such that plastic has been found in the placenta of human body. When the mother gives birth to a small child, even before that, when the child is in mother's womb, the placenta has been found to contain the microplastics. Imagine, will this plastic not enter the child? Absolutely. Even before birth, the child, considered as the purest form of life, will be polluted with plastic. This is the level of encroachment of plastic in our lives, right? Worth a case. And yes, and one more important thing, this is not commonly discussed, but then becomes very important again, plastisphere. Plastisphere is that region, that area where these small particles of plastic, they are present ubiquitous, that is in the marine life. In the marine life and marine life of microscopic nature, they also migrate from one place to another sitting on these plastics, right? This is happening in the sea, and this is United Nations website. I have picked it up right from there. New marine microbial habitat. This is not only habitat, but this also helps in carriage of the microorganisms from one place to another. plasticware, right? So this is the update here. Plastic, marine debris, microscopic level plastic thrives on these tiny floating islands of debris and can be transported long distances, right? So do not ignore the marine plastics that we speak of, the marine plastics along with that microplastics. So let us look at some of the examples of this. Firstly, the common use plastics that you would have seen around yourself, right? PET bottles. What is PET? Polyethylene terephthalate, right? These are the PET bottles. All of them have got different qualities dependent on their weight, their mass, their density, right? The flexibility of that particular plastic, its utility, its lifetime, right? Tensile strength, temperature it can sustain, flexibility, all of them. So we have poly bags, polypropylene bags, low density polythene, polystyrene, for example, used as utensils, plastic utensils, and expanded polystyrene, protective packaging, right? For example, hot drinking cups. Now, each of them are replaceable, each of them. For example, in case of the PET bottles, one can use, although these bottles are not single use, but they can be replaced through glass bottles or fiber bottles. Absolutely. Similarly, the polythene bags can be replaced with paper or jute bags. Is it not? Similarly, utensils can be created through bamboo. Just example, rough examples. And then what about protective packaging? Hot drinking cups. These can be made of, hot drinking cups can be reused as well, right? So you can see the common used plastic items can be something that can be reused, and we can have other items also. So the commonly used items, who would stop eating the Lays, right, through these kind of packaging? We can do that, absolutely. It's up to us. But if I ask you to stop smoking, what about that, you guys? Anybody? Would you? Not for the sake of stopping plastic pollution, but of course for the sake of decreasing the comorbidity because of diseases and issues, right? And not only that, it causes problem to humans and animals. It is also a breeding ground for mosquitoes and pests. So increasing the kind of pollution and the disease around. This is the map of the whole world where maximum presence of plastic is there, and it is not being managed well. These are just mere examples. Sudan mismanages 80% of its plastic waste. I would say it is far more than this, right? 80% is only the official numbers. And most of it is being mismanaged in the Asian countries. The impact is felt most in Asian countries, especially China and Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Malaysia. These are those countries where the recycling abilities are less and production is more. Remember the three parts of it: production, consumption, and recycling. These three abilities, we are crippled at each of these stages. We are producing plastics enormously, we are consuming them, and we are also not very good in recycling them, right? Recycling or reducing or reusing them. Each of these components deserve its own weight, right? And not only that, if you look at the countries where the effect of it is maximum, it is the Asian countries. See, the developing countries, this is where the effect is felt the maximum. Do not forget the great plastic garbage patch, right? Patch present in multiple places. It is not a single patch, but a whole movement of plastic from one place to another in the Pacific, right? And what are the stakeholders here? We have important stakeholders: government, right? Then we have corporations which are indulged in plastic processes and non-plastic processes, both of them. The third is civil society organizations, and fourth are you, me, and all of us, individuals, each of us. These are the four important stakeholders, and you might consider government as the most important, yet I would say that all of them have got some or the other significant role to play. While government can initiate regulations, right? It can tell what should be the fine on usage of plastic. It can tell what are the kind of directions in which it will tax less of newer innovative items. It can do that. But corporations play the major role. They are the ones which will innovate new ways to handling substances, to packaging, to using items. Just like they created plastic, they would be able to create those new products. If they're not able to create, extended producer responsibility. This is what will be imposed on them. And Dabur is a good case study, right? Becoming plastic neutral. Thank you to Bhavani or Amlan. You people had shared this case study, and we have put it right here as well. So extended producer responsibility is a very good thing. This is one. They can also initiate any innovations. Government can also impose liabilities on them, right? Multiple liabilities not to use a particular kind of plastic or use something specific. Not only that, PPP models and something called as material recovery facility, MRF. Now, वही question में आ गया, what is MRF, right? मत लिख देना टायर सचिन तेंदुलकर, material recovery facility, right? So this is the facility through which we are not only recovering the utility plastic, but we are also engaging in upcycling it, right? Any discarded item in which can be upcycled, it will be upcycled, or it has to be discarded, it will be discarded through material recovery facility. The use efficiency of any article will increase through material recovery facility, government's proposal, right? We have studied about this in one of the snapshots. So this is what corporations can do. Civil society organizations can create awareness amongst people, and what individuals can do is utilize them, right? Utilize those items which have less plastic. They can start refusing those items which have more plastic. We can do that at our own level. We can start becoming the role models for society, where we say we create zero carbon footprints. Can we do that? We have to become that, right? So if we can do that, that would be a feat. We would be a role model for other people. So a simple example of this is, right, you got some time, go to the beaches, right? Who is from Odisha? Somebody said no, Odisha, Puri. So go to the beaches and start indulging in these drives of cleaning the beaches. Modi ji has done this, right? He went to Mamlapuram, right, near Chennai, Mahabalipuram, and he cleaned the beaches right there. I wonder who would, dare to have put, articles and dust there before he would arrive there. So yeah, publicity. But then, and anyhow, another important case study for you guys is there from Sweden. There's something called as plogging. Have you heard of it? Plogging, jogging, and then while jogging, collecting these articles. And they say that in jogging, we consume around 270-300 kilocalories here. We consume more kilocalories while we pick up these articles, right? Pick up these articles while jogging. And I'd say you come to India, thak jaoge, right? So yes, another way in which, so plogging is a very good case study for you people, right? Case study in which we are trying to clean the surroundings while doing our daily work activities, exercises. Plogging is being practiced, initiated in a very good country. What did I name? The country was Denmark, Finland, Norway, Sweden, right? This is a case study from there. Another example of this is blue flag beaches, right? Initiated by a forum. Blue flag beaches, we've got 10 blue flag beaches in our country, and 2 of them only lately awarded. Kovalam in Tamil Nadu and Eden Beach in again in Puducherry, they have been awarded. And please remember, Kovalam Beach also exists in Kerala, but we are talking of Kovalam Beach in Tamil Nadu. And Kapad Beach, which was already designated as blue flag beach, Kapad is the place where Vasco da Gama landed, right? So some beaches like Shivrajpur, Ghogla, Kasargod, Rushikonda, Golden Beach in Puri, Radhanagar in Andaman Nicobar, in Havelock Islands, and Eden Beach in Puducherry. These are the ones which have been given blue flag beaches tag, right? Beaches which have got integrated level of cleanliness around them, right? So they invite more tourism, they invite people here, the economy also flourishes. This is what NGOs, civil societies and individuals can do. They can participate, they can ensure that less of the articles are sent for recycling because the demand only is less, right? As I mentioned, only 20% articles are recycled and incinerated. 80% of it is discarded, right? And one simple example of this is place specific. For example, we need more data. Example of this is that the level of consumption of plastic at different places is different. The level of consumption and the level of the plastic consumption in Goa is double as that of Delhi. And Delhi itself is one of the places where there is high consumption of plastic, right? India being one of the countries where per capita consumption of plastic is 11 kilos per capita, and this is global average is 28 kilos per capita. So if you consider that ways, we are far below. But then we can't consider ourselves to be below, because you multiply this with the number of people that we have, that is 1.4 billion people. This will amount to a huge level of plastic pollution. We will not be able to even process it, right? And why not process it? We must process it, no? So this is the problem. But if you look at a country like USA, to the tune of 200 kilos per person, if I remember correctly. This is the level of their per capita consumption of plastics, right? So though we are lesser than the global average, we are lesser everywhere. Electricity consumption, right? We are or per capita expenditure, per capita earnings. But then since the total population is high, our GDP then rises, the consumption rises, right? We become the largest importers of coal, largest importers of energy, one of the largest, right? So this is the update. What can we do? We can reduce smoking, we can reduce the usage of these plastic items. What can we reduce? Let me ask more things from you people. These are good examples that you can start using in your answers, right? Not usually used widely, but then you must use the those kind of sunscreens or those kind of face washes which do not have microplastics. Start ensuring that you do not have disposable cups with you. You have reusable cups which can carry your coffee with you. Start having those bottled waters which can be reused again. Don't look for plastic packaging all the time. Start using those toothbrushes which have bamboo stick attached to it. But then I know Amlan would have a question. The bristles are still plastic. All right, in that case, you must use datun. You know what is datun? Right? Do you know that? The neem sticks, right? Use that. Everything is herbal there. And then we could also use menstrual cups to reduce the impact of the traditional mode, that is the pads, right? So these are some ways in which we can become zero waste champions. Zero waste champions. Good examples, case studies, and then we refuse picking up these kind of plastic items. More example of this: dress sustainably. Most of the dress that we have these days, they have polyester, they have fibers which are created to process plastic, right? And then this is what we can reduce, right? We can use what? Simple example is khadi, cotton, more sustainable, right? 9 reasons to refuse single plastics. 9 reasons. This is quite holistic in itself. Firstly, while we create plastic, it is made from the regular fuel, right? So there is the economy behind plastic pollution. That economy is that of the conventional fuel. This will also get impacted. So there's a lobby group saying that you don't curb these kind of activities, plastic pollution, have only for some specific issues. So one is fossil fuel. The second one is it has got huge carbon footprint, anthropogenic indicator. The third one, related to it. The fourth is only a small fraction is recycled. We are not able to recycle this as at that levels. Leaching leads to toxic generation. Lungs and liver and heart and kidneys and everything is impacted, right? This is what is reflected again. Pollutes our oceans, right? Kills marine animals and birds. Plastic pollution. We've only spoken about the plastic, the plastic carriage bags. Look at the kind of plastic which the animals ingest. And also look at the plastic which is used in fishing nets, right? Fishing nets, TED, remember, turtle excluder devices. They get killed because of this. So many whales and fishes got caught, and when they died, their carcass containing enormous amount of plastic inside their body. Enters food chain. So biomagnification and yes, all that. All right. So too much of pollution because of plastic. And this is where the treaty, the superpower treaty, comes and says that we will try to rescue the whole world. 175 countries, they come and they meet at Nairobi and they say we will have a binding treaty. This is where India says, please don't make it binding. Let it be voluntary, because we are not at the level. See, once the treaty becomes bound, it is binding on the nations. This is where the problem arises, because many countries will start imposing what? NTBs, non-tariff barriers. You create plastic, you use plastic, we will not import from you. So India says, please don't make it binding. This is one important thing that India mentioned. There are other requests from other countries. For example, Japan says, treat plastic, right? This treaty only for marine areas, not for continental areas, right? Because marine pollution is also very high. India says, let us have common but differentiated responsibilities in this particular treaty, national circumstances and capability should be determining factors, right? So Japan had some proposal, India had proposal, some countries, Rwanda in Africa and Peru in South America had proposal. They said, fine, let's do this. Let's have this at our convention, the Environment Convention. This treaty initiated, right? So when you look at, do remember this data, right, that I had presented, 34 billion tons, 9 billion tons right now, 34 billion tons right then, 80% of plastic not processed, 50% of plastic, almost 50% of plastic single use, right? What else do you need? Data is already done. Damage created due to plastic. We looked at all the damages here. See, all the damages here, right? Image itself mentioning all of them. Solid waste generation, groundwater and soil pollution, marine pollution, health hazards to human, emissions created in the plastic waste creation, in the plastic creation and plastic management. Those both emissions created are important and they can be avoided, right? All the kind of plastic that can be replaced through non-plastic items, right? This is also being touted as one of those treaties which are only next to Montreal Protocol. Why? Because this is ever expansive. The treaty encapsulates global bodies. It can ensure that many people participate. It can become, since it is open-ended, it can have, various other things covered in future as well. But what is required is to make it binding, make it global, so that, we address the plastic pollution holistically. Certain kind of pollution is not boundary level. It is transboundary. For example, the pollution through climate change. Right, water pollution, air pollution, we can't do anything about them. Pandemic, global problem. Terrorism, a global problem, right? Similarly, plastic pollution, many countries create plastic at their own areas and then they dispose it off through the ships in marine areas. Global commons. This is not done. So this is a global problem, has to be sorted at global levels. Therefore, the treaty says that we will have the full cycle of the plastics be a part of this treaty. Full cycle means end of life usage as well, end of life usage as well, right? So recycling, upcycling it. Upcycling is the word here, not retrograde, but a progressive step, right? Recognition of informal sector, a very important segment. This treaty recognizes the participation of informal sector. See, not a lot of items can be segregated through machines, and machines are not present at all places. What is, however, present is human hand and human labor. India involves 90% of its of its waste segregation through informal labors. 90% of the waste management is done with the help of informal sector. That is the role it plays. But then they also have their own share of burden. For example, many people living here, they do not drink good water, potable water. What about their health? What about their education? These are those jobs which they pick up only because they have nothing else to do, right? So rehabilitation of these people is important. However, on the other hand, economizing and also giving them due share is important. All these items can be recycled. Plastic can be recycled. So can waste paper be, and so can glass be. These people are already active participants there, but then we need to treat them better. For example, giving them devices, giving them gloves, right? Giving them masks to be able to operate in those places. Right. So what is required is to further recognize the informal sector here, right? In a first, the treaty respects the effort undertaken by the informal sector and cooperatives in developing countries to store, collect and recycle plastic waste. Imagine this, right? Africa, Asia, these are the places we are talking of majorly. Better coverage, right? This treaty on plastic pollution is covering not only the regular plastic, but microplastics and marine litter. Remember we spoke about plastosphere, those places. Cooperative plans, open-ended participation is a good thing. Capacity building, all that stuff. Challenges, objections by countries like USA, Japan, India. USA says there is a lobby in all the countries. So some of the countries say, for example, these are hubs, no? USA is a hub of plastic pollution, plastic production. So they say that use it only for certain products, right? For example, those products which utilize colored plastics. See, adding color to the plastic gives lucrative looks, but then this is very much toxic. USA is refusing to sign on these kind of agreements. India says make it voluntary. Japan says make it only for marine areas. So to be able to accommodate all these major stakeholders, these are major economies, no? India, Japan, USA, all among top 7 of the GDP, right? So they had to do this. They had to accommodate their requirements as well. They're very hard. Also lobby groups. See, there are a couple of lobby groups. For example, fossil fuel demands, plastic pollution. Plastic industry demands a lot of energy, and energy is given through fuel, fossil fuels. Not only that, there are other lobby groups which are into chemical recycling. All of them would be lobbying, and they are actually lobbying. See, so this is the reason that these are the challenges that the plastic industry now faces, especially the recycling and management industry. You see, USA is not 200 kilos, it is 110 kilos, right? USA per capita consumption of plastic is 110 kilos. All right, India 11, global average 28, USA 110, right? So USA is around 4 times more than the global average. India is 2.5 times less than the global average. See, so this is the kind of stark difference that you can point at. There are many responsibilities that India has imposed. Now, for example, liabilities. EPR, extended producer responsibility, is one. Another one is MRF, right? Madras Rubber Factory. No, not this. All right. So MRF is another one. And the third one is the increase in thickness of the single-use plastic. Single-use plastic. I have been speaking of the extension of the thickness innumerable times to you people. Extension of thickness ensures that the plastic bag can be utilized multiple times. It can be processed better. It is also costlier. These are the reasons that we are increasing this single-use plastic thickness, right? So the thickness of virgin plastic was increased to 120 microns from 50 microns by an amendment in 2021. Not only that, what about the multi-film plastic? Isn't that called as multi-film? Multi-layer plastic, MLP. Yes, multi-layer plastic sachets, right? Reduction in those usage. These are the kind of changes that India keeps looking at many times. So there has been innumerable amendments, at least 4 or 5 amendments in increasing the plastic thickness. It started with around 20 microns, then 40, then 50, 75, 100, now 120, right? So next 2 years, they will be negotiating what to do, how the funds have to be created, how they are going to manage the whole plastic of the whole world, what will be the kind of negotiations carried out, and how will this treaty be made binding in some or the other way without penalty. So countries will be participating here. We can also expect a lot of companies to start claiming they're plastic neutral. Thank you. What are we talking of? Dabur. Okay. So good cases, start using them. The plastic man in Senegal, the girl with Papa in Chennai, right? All of them are good cases for you, right? The cases of pollution also are there. Cases good or cases of reformation are also there for you, right? So the question for today is discuss the need for a global plastic treaty. How will it be able to solve plastic pollution problems, right? Will it be able to solve plastic problems? When the question is open-ended, how far will it be able to solve? Then present both the sides. On one side, it is inclusive. On one side, it gives a vision. On one side, it is open-ended. On one side, it ensures that it respects the informal workforce. On the other side, we see that there are challenges. There are lobby groups, right? There is habit of the users. The availability of technology is limited. What about the funds and finances? Hope it doesn't become one of those treaties like Kyoto Protocol and Paris Climate, where the negotiations don't fall apart, or where they fell apart and where it shouldn't. Here it shouldn't. So discuss the need for global plastic treaty. Give the significance of this, the utility of plastics, the magnitude of plastic production in future, its utility, its pollution that is impacting the whole world. So this is important. All right. Let me look at some questions if you have. Okay. Yes, Ocean Cleanup Foundation. Yes, thank you. This is important. We've also covered this. We covered Ocean Cleanup Foundation also. There are many other treaties under plastic management. Just a few weeks back, we had covered one of the treaties in which France had initiated a plastic cleanup, right? India also participated. Yes. Oh, absolutely. United Nations Environment Program was formed in the year 1972, a very important year. Project Tiger also got initiated in this year, if I'm not wrong. Right? This was the year. Why 1972 only? That is another good question. In 1960s, there came many thinkers who started to say that the global population is rising so much. Consumerism is not in India, but the developed world. A lot of consumerism, lot of individualism, liberalization in the Western world, and increased industrialization. It led to a lot of pollution, a lot of disparity around the whole world, and this caused people to extrapolate what would happen to the whole world. So people said this is the edge of whatever is the carrying capacity of humans, and after that the whole world will only collapse. In 1960s, books were written, a lot of documents were given, and this is when in late 60s and early 70s, people said we have to do something about it. United Nations met and they said, let us start a program called as United Nations Environment Program, and they discussed a lot of things around this, not only animal preservation, fauna preservation, ecosystem preservation, all of which slowly and steadily got initiated around the whole world. All right, so that is why 1972 United Nations Environment Program. Okay, thank you, Netra. So isn't fiber also a kind of plastic? No, not necessarily. I eat protein. I mean, you know, if you know what is sehjan, I don't know what is it called in English. There's so many things that we eat, and the fiber gets stuck up in our mouth. Fiber of that particular roughage, that is also that is completely organic, that is not plastic. Kriti says Germany has sand system. It charges a deposit when plastic bottles are purchased. When you return the bottles for recycling, you get your deposit back. See what a beautiful system in Germany. And not only here, we have had many people. For example, I was listening to a speech by the creator of the Apple company. Who is he? Any name? The person who created the company Apple. So these people are little, you know, off the track, eccentric, Amlan types. So what would they do is that they would not participate in regular classes. What it would interest them more, they would go there. So this gentleman said that I didn't have money. I was only living in my friend's dormitory. I didn't have finances. So what I would do is I would collect these waste plastic bottles and, you know, give it at the place where plastic recycling happens in USA, in that university, one of the most popular universities. And this is how they would get some money to be able to survive. And other days they would go to ISKCON temple, where free food would be given. So this is how they would survive. Who am I speaking of? Answers. Founder of Apple. Babani, then you got to go to Puri beach and start cleaning up these beaches. You would be a model citizen for us. See, Babani themselves says, one of my junior now did this record by collecting 1 ton of garbage collecting from the beach. Indian Express. Great. India Hikes. India Hikes is a very popular platform. A trekking company collects plastic from mountains. I do treks with them. Oh, great. Nice, yeah. Tyasha, great work. Neem. Yes, Neem. Branches of Neem. Good. Avoid fast fashion. Okay. What are the other things? Avoid peeled fruits in plastic containers. Good. Thank you. Use clothes made of jute. See, now Gandhiji comes, no? Back to our thoughts. See, the cotton fabric is also breathable in nature. Big Basket sends bananas in plastic wraps. Absolutely it does. Hima says, see, 40, as I mentioned, 40% of the complete plastic production is single-use plastic. And in single-use plastic, the majority of it is taken by packaging industry. And this is only an upcoming industry. Abhi to this is only going to prosper in India. When we look at the work from home economies, this is only going to prosper, right? Delivery of food items, delivery of Amazon products, Flipkart products, all that is only going to get initiated. So Vivek is updating, newsletter is downloadable now. Thank you. Project Tiger 1973. Okay, thanks. Drumsticks. Yes, that's the word. Drumsticks have fibers, Ashish. Steve Jobs. Thank you very much. Babani, Kriti, Hima, Ashish, Netra, all of you. And who's the Apple CEO right now? Okay, Kanupriya says India can still control plastic uses as its consumption is lower than other countries. Consumption is lower, absolutely. Per capita consumption is lower, but is it because that we are good in our habits, or is it because our utility is not as diverse? We have plastic in habits. I have a plastic pen right in my hand. The board is edges of the board are plastic. I've got this plastic bottle as well, but not saying that this is not mine. I've got a metal bottle here, right? So, but then a lot of items are indispensably plastic. Can't help with it, right? We need a change at the level of governance. As I mentioned, the stakeholders here. Government. So when you look at creating an answer, please do this. Either create stakeholders in an in an illustrative fashion. For example, government, their roles and responsibilities, and corporations and individuals, and then CSOs, civil society organizations, or increase the sphere of influence like this. Government. I'm telling you what I used to do. I don't know why I didn't get through the examination. I didn't study well enough, but then I am sharing my tricks with you. Government here at the center, and this is where corporates lie. This is corporations lie. This is where NGOs or civil societies lies, and this is where people lie. People participation, right? So all of their stakes can be represented through illustrations. This will be more catchy. Just like when I ask you to remember case studies, these are catchy ways of writing your answers in the actual answer sheets, right? So utilize them well. Tim Cook, thank you. Right, so if you like this initiative, share some love. There are questions, please post them down. We will see you tomorrow. And though it was a Monday, I would all like to know if you people actually did your homework on Saturday. That was a very valuable day. That is a very valuable day for you people, because that is the day when you revise whatever you studied in the last week. And if you didn't note down, that also is a very important key aspect. So please keep doing that. That will increase your confidence. This is the only way in which I feel that it is contributing immensely to all of us. So not only way, but one of the important ways. So treat it as sanctified, treat it as reverend, and then you would see the results automatically, right? So thank you. Amlan, Bhabani, Ashish, Netra, Kanupriya. Amlan says they did great. Thank you very much, all of you. Like this initiative if you like it enough. Revising, sir. Netra, it is very well seen in your answers that you're revising it. So I can make it out very easily. Thank you, and I will see you tomorrow evening. Good night, Hima.